This is Karen Newman, and I'd like to welcome you to Karen's Roundtable. This is a roundtable discussion with the people we have here in the room. We're going to be looking at, over the next 12 weeks, we're going to be looking at different themes in our life and trying to examine ourselves. So the theme of the webinar is an unexamined life, and over the next 12 weeks, we're going to be looking at different subjects. And this week, it's going to be self-awareness, and this whole webinar is based on, this 12-week section is based on an article I read a few years ago in Forbes Magazine, and it was 35 questions to change your life, and each question was designed to make you look at yourself and examine where you are, some of the stumbling blocks you had, your strengths, your weaknesses, so that you could better set goals and just examine where you are versus where you want to be. And I really liked the exercise, and I started to apply it a little bit more and look at it from a broader perspective. And so I've expanded it to 12 different subjects. And this first one is self-awareness. So to welcome everyone in the room, we have Brian, Johannes, Rainbow Momentum, Sarah, Valerie, and Sabrina. So welcome everybody, and I hope you enjoy this discussion. So we're going to start off with the first question, and this will be the way we'll start the discussion. There's about 5 questions I'm going to ask you, and if each person can answer honestly, including myself, I'll answer as honestly as possible. It's not about judging it, it's just about putting it out there. And I have this idea that whenever you are willing to just say who you are in the most honest way, without any judgment of yourself and without any judgment from anybody in the room, of course, then it's a really good way to become objective about your own life. If it's anything too personal you don't want to share, no problem, but for the sake of this exercise, I'd like you to at least be able to share something. So the first question about self-awareness is, what are you pretending not to know? And the explanation is that this question was asked about what possibilities open up when we stop deceiving ourselves. So what is it that we're pretending not to know? Brian, do you have any comments? I mean, it's gone silent.
I have one.
Oh, please, go ahead, Sabrina.
Go ahead.
Is it Sabrina or Valerie that's talking?
Sabrina.
Okay, Sabrina, please go ahead.
That I'm not as big as I think I am.
Big in what way?
In terms of who I am and how really the universe looks upon me.
And why do you think that is?
I think part of it is fear, and part of it is also me being afraid of ego taking over. So they're both fears, really.
But you're afraid of what taking over?
Ego.
Ego. Yeah, well, I don't know that you should be afraid of ego taking over, but you can be aware that ego is a possibility, and actually that awareness is quite mature. You know, I had a really great guy on my show the other day, and he's a breatharian, and I said to him, you know, do you ever want to be someone who goes completely without food or completely without drink, you know, forever? And he said, well, the ego of me would like to do that, because then I can sort of wear it on my sleeve and say, see, look what I've done. But I think the awareness that what is ego and what is not ego shows a lot of perspective, and the fact that you're not wanting the ego to take over is quite an aware place to be. But what if you knew when you say your bigness, what does that mean to you? Your power, your strength, what is your bigness?
I think my abilities, what I can do. but of course, there is that, and of course there is the other part of you thinking, um, maybe I can, maybe I can't. There is always that side of you, though. I've seen evidence of otherwise,
Right.
and I have the evidence of it. So that's why I said it was like a two-part fear thing here.
Right. I understand. So if you, what would the possibility be for you if you were to let go of that fear?
Oh, gee. um,
Yeah.
yeah, I know it's pretty big. I mean, even when I speak of my channeling, I'm afraid to say who I channel because I think, okay, is that my, I don't want ego. So I'm
Yeah.
afraid to mention who I'm actually channeling. Um, so it's that kind of thing.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll come back to you.
Yeah.
Brian, what is it you pretending not to know?
Oh, jeez, this is challenging now.
These are challenging questions. This is
These are
not
some
this
real
is
deep
not a walk in
questions,
the park
Brian.
kind of a webinar. I mean, the whole,
No, this is right up my alley, though. This is fun.
I know you should like this psychology guy.
I do this. All right.
The whole point of this is to really, I had one of the big things for me was, and I don't have a maid anymore, but at one point I had a maid, and that was a very challenging thing to me, to have someone in my house that could see everything that I had, that potentially would wash my clothes, fold my clothes, put them away, open up all my cabinets and all my drawers, and really see all the stuff that I can just, like you can't see my table right now, but I've got all kinds of crap on it and everything. But just being willing to show that part of the world yourself, but also show that part of the world, that part of you to yourself. Because we can also hide, and this is really about what are you pretending about yourself not to know. And I understand what Sabrina is saying. Because if you don't know your own potential, you don't have to live up to it. It's that kind of thing of if you know it, then the only person that can, be responsible is
Sabrina touched on it
her.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Knowing that we are part, or knowing that we're
Not we. No.
I.
No.
Let me
You.
go back to the I. The I am.
This is the I.
I am.
Yeah.
We are all together.
No, we. I.
God.
Just I. This is only about Brian.
All right. We'll go to
no
Brian.
deflecting to the greater we. Yeah.
That I am God.
Okay, but what does that mean to you to be God?
So the ego or the mind wants to judge it and get involved and say, but you say that you're God. What does it mean to you, Brian? What does it mean to be God?
Yeah, what does it mean?
Let's analyze this. So, from one perspective, the fear is of self-judgment of I'm God. Okay, what can I do with those powers, those gifts? What abilities? It comes down to, wow, bringing religion into it a little bit. Okay, I've been told that there's a God. Okay, that's greater than all of us or me, myself. How do I, what direction do I go with that? Why can't I know everything all at once then? If I'm God, it's a perspective of what I've been told or taught before.
I understand.
So the fear comes in, well, okay, it's one thing to say that I'm God. I'll go back to I.
Yeah, because it's about you.
Yes. No one else. I take full responsibility of it.
Yeah.
So if I'm God, then my thoughts, my projections are, okay, I have full awareness and abilities of being a God. But
I agree with you. Yeah, go ahead.
At the same time, I don't feel that I'm grander or that bigness, that God perspective of all knowing. I don't see that perspective. I'm not looking for that perspective for some reason, because I chose to limit myself to see a one-sided perspective of life to a certain degree, um, from a singularity, not so much of a oneness, a multidimensional aspect. I wanted to have my power focus in this lifetime now, so I'm choosing not to see the bigger scale because I want to experience something that, I don't want to experience that oneness all at once. I want to experience as a singularity. I want to experience as a linear timeline, just per se. I want to see something different, that I usually wouldn't see otherwise.
I'll give you also the perspective of, yes, we are God, but we're not the larger part of God, you know. And so I think we should take that sort of pressure off of ourselves to believe that we're God. Because yes, we're part of God, but we are not the whole. Our part of even coming into this body was to have the limitations that we have. You know, if you go and stand in front of the ocean, even knowing 70% of you is the ocean, a big wave can come and still knock you on your butt. So I challenge you to go into the ocean and say, I am the ocean. You have some ocean in you, but you are not commanding the waves, at least in this incarnation, and that's also okay. I think more of the statement of knowing we are God is also having the awe, and knowing you are God should not give you any kind of arrogance. It should humble you beyond measure.
Right. That you're a part of all.
It's different. So I would take the pressure off of yourself of thinking you have to raise to the level of God, because, you know, I wish you the best. But it's gonna be, you know, work cut out for you if you're gonna do that. You know, we can do incredible things. We can do amazing things, but we have to look at also to why did we come into this body? If we really came into this body to be God, then we came into the wrong incarnation. But I'm just saying that if you want to talk about power and stuff like that, this is not the incarnation where we wield unyieldingly power. We have knowingly given ourselves and came into a situation where there are so many more restrictions. You know, look, we're just struggling now to wake up. You know, there's a lot. I mean, you may or may not agree, but I'd like you to take the pressure off of yourself. So the other part of the question is, if you know that, then if you truly know it, then what does it allow you to do then?
Just be in the moment. Just be the observer.
Well, being in the moment or be the observer? Which one?
Both.
Okay.
It's always and. I see it as an and. I don't want to see it anymore so much as this and that. I do sometimes. I play with that, but it's really about that self-awareness, and that's what I feel inside of it. That self-awareness is your ability to choose freely in which direction you want to go. So the God aspect is knowing that I'm a part of something grander and bigger, but at the same time, can I be okay with the fact that I don't have to be the grand, Granciolo, whatever you call it.
Well, that's an ego problem, isn't it?
Right. No.
Well,
it can be, because it's or the expectations of others, but it's really about if I'm comfortable with just being me. I don't. Yeah. Everyone. There's what you would say, the awakening. We can all see it from different perspectives, but just for Brian in particular, what Brian's looking at, what Brian's seeing is that I just have a choice to choose for myself.
Sure.
I'm not expecting others to I see them as choosing also, and how they want to choose it. So,
do you see this cup as being God?
It's a part of all that is. Yes.
Okay, so do you think this cup is worried about being grand?
It's just a consciousness. It's just
But
a
I
part.
mean, honestly though, do you? But so it says in the Bible, and I'm not a big Bible quoter, but I will quote. It says, "The meekest among us are the greatest." So the ones like you said that are just being themselves in the truest sense are
Right.
not doing it with this idea of, oh yeah, I have to also remember that I am God. They're just
Right.
being.
Yeah, just experience. So why I chose to come to this lifetime first for myself
Mhm.
is just to be me. Is just to be who I am. That loving energy of self-service. And
So what does pretending not to know? How is that serving you
so the
then?
pretending is just, it's seeing it from, it's not whole, it's, how do you say this? I guess that's like the pretending part is that I'm pretending um, not to see the full brilliance, or not wanting to see the full brilliance. I mean, it's there, acknowledging it, but yet me being comfortable with myself, that I don't have to always feel like I have to strive to be perfect, or that perfection, or what you would call a God goddess all that is.
Well, I would challenge you to say that the perfection is just because you are, and that
Right,
there's no achievement in the perfection. So,
right, right.
so you don't have
It's
to,
just a
you know
state
what
of
I mean?
allowance. Right.
Yeah.
I'd say more of a state of allowance.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, cool.
I like your questions. They're good.
So, Johannes, are you ready to answer a question?
Hit me with your best shot.
Okay, I will. It's the same question. What are you pretending not to know?
I have to repeat that question to myself. What is it that what repeat it
Well,
again?
because let's just stay with the theme of this webinar is self-awareness. So about yourself, what is it that you're pretending not to know? Someone has a cell phone.
Yeah, well, I was listening to Sabrina and I was listening to Brian, and there were some stuff that I can take out from there I resonated with.
Okay.
And one of those things was the last thing Ryan said, I think, actually looking uh, into the things that I like in, let's using nature for example. And to me, you can find answers what you want in nature. Looking at the structure of it, and I think it is somewhere there where I'm pretending not to know the trying to find the word,
That's okay.
like when we come to a limit. Let's say there is a limit that I can come to, like we have a flower,
Mm-hmm.
we put a seed into the ground, and then we watch it grow, and then it flowers, it makes the seeds afterwards, but then it dies, sort of. And somewhere there, I think more people than me has that as maybe a previous belief that it ends, like it ends after the flower dies, But so that kind of thinking, that kind of feeling, and that kind of awareness of what's happening after what we don't know, or what wasn't thought about before. I think that's sort of where I'm pretending not to know the stuff that I know about the whole thing, the whole process.
The eternity of everything, the true essence of everything.
Yeah.
So in not in pretending not to know that, what if you were to stop pretending that, how would you be different? What would be different for you?
I would not fear my depart from here and my who I am here, like I mean my
you would fear your death.
Yeah,
maybe.
something like that. I fear to I don't fear to get old and to do all that kind of, but I fear to lose the stuff that I have now. Like I don't want an accident to happen and stuff like that. Sort of that kind of fear.
You mean you're afraid to lose material stuff? You're afraid to lose parts of your body? You're afraid to?
Not really. I'm the fear is of having this now. I'm joining you for hangout, having what I have. I'm pretty fine with what I have, and I don't want to, yet I don't want to leave, something like that kind of fear, that I want to keep on doing what it is that I am finding out myself to do, because I feel like I am different to some degree. And I think we all feel that who are here today speaking about what we are speaking about. So, I mean, again, I don't want to lose that. But again, I've had my psychedelics experience, and that has taken away. I have gone through that already. I have already let that go. So I know how it is to feel relief of that. So I want to. It's almost like I forgot again,
Well, I will tell you that when I had my ayahuasca experience, one of the things that they showed me was that we do come here for the vacation of having the ability to have a singular focus, because when you are on the other side, you are focused on everything at once, and you're experiencing everything at once, and some of that is just so overwhelming, and it's such a nice we choose to come here and in this thing to be able to just sort of focus on one thing at a time, be really in one moment, and have that kind of singular experience. So I can understand that you would want to hold on to that. I would just encourage you to realize that even if you do end up going away, you can always come back. So it's not there's no finality in any of it. And I know you know it, but
yeah, that it comes to that also. I know this, and this is what it comes to. The funny thing is that I'm still having fears about it. So it's funny in a way to me. Like, why am I still having these fears? I'm not sure. I have to figure it out. But it's still interesting to me, and I'm still listening to all the people here on Hukalo and like trying to, see what it is that I'm feeling, But
yeah, I know when I was a little kid, I used to wonder about dying, and I would sort of say to God, well, will I? Because they would say, well, you won't be Karen anymore. And I would always be like, well, I'm going to be Karen no matter what happens. And I would really like sort of start saying, I don't care, but I'm going to be Karen. And I'm going to and I would always be like, I'm going to remember. I'm going to remember. Because I didn't want to let go of this either. But now I realize that I probably don't have to let go of it. And I can take my Karen-ness with me. And I probably brought my Karen-ness with me here. And I can take it wherever I go. And there's that eternal part of you that is the essence of you, and you never lose it. I do understand, though, you have a life, you have the people around you, you have the stuff that you like, and the idea that might just one day not be is quite confronting. But I will tell you that if you have the awareness that I know you have, that probably you realize that even though you don't really ever have to leave it if you don't want to. You can take it with you. The larger part of you will be able to zoom in on that.
And then we come
anytime.
To where I don't want to hold on to things either, because that one kind of thing. So I want to move on. I want to see what there is for me without holding myself back, And
but you understand that there is no if there's not one or the other when it comes to being on the other side, because we're multidimensional. You can have the part of you that's let go, and then you can, in any other second, change your focus, and it'll still be there, or you can experience both at the same time. So it's really only in this existence that we have the problem being able to feel all of that. But that's why we're here. We don't want to, if we had to feel everything while we were here, we couldn't be here. It would be too hard to function. You couldn't even walk across the street because you would, you know, the trees would be blooming and the road would be going like this, and it would be too difficult. But here we picked solid things, but we can have that over there by just changing our focus, and we can focus multidimensionally there. So I wouldn't worry about it. You can have everything and more there. And Brian can have sex, because he said he would miss sex. He said it in the chat. I'm just telling everybody what he said. It's just an embarrassment.
No, it's a beautiful thing. I mean,
yeah. Well, sex, can I just tell you, on the other side, everything is like one giant orgasm.
That's right.
I mean, it stays like you're in an orgasmic state the whole time. And there is a little bit of relief of not being in that state, because it's so big all the time. It's so overwhelming. It's so blissful that you need sometimes a break from all the. I'm not kidding. You really need a break from all of the bliss. You need a little bit of diversity just to mix it up a little bit. Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Well, Sabrina, for me, it was the same. I'm sorry, but I experienced like that. I needed a break from the grandeur of everything. It was so much. Yeah. So who else wants to answer that question? Valerie, do you want to take a shot at it? What are you pretending not to know?
Well, I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
That's a deep thought for sure.
Yeah.
I think there's probably a lot of things that I'm pretending not to know. One of the basic things I'm pretending not to know is that I just keep thinking I can do more than what I can. You know, like I have, I don't know how many projects going, you know, and stuff to do projects, and I just don't get there. And so I guess I'm pretending not to know that there's just not enough time for me to do everything right now. I need to quit accumulating things to do. So that's the basic one, I think. That's the reality-based one.
Okay, so what if you let go of that? If you were to actually know that your time was limited, what would that do for you? Would that make you? I mean, are you a person who thrives under pressure, or are you a person who does better? You know, some people just they will say, this is what I can do and this is what I can't do, and they're very good at keeping everything in a line. I'm one of those person that says yes to everything, and then somehow or another I just whip it. I make it happen, but I don't know how.
It's not like I have an obligation to anyone but myself.
Well, yeah, but you know who's stricter on you than you?
I want to do, and so every time I see something that's like unique, different, I think, what can I do with that? And then before I know it, I have it, and then I'm supposed to do that with it, but I never have the time to do it.
So do you feel like
I have a lot of accumulation of things, like that I have projects planned for. Don't get me wrong; it's not normal. It's not normal like hoarding, I don't think. But I have a whole shed full of projects that need done.
Well, the question is, are those projects and that level of commitment, of maybe overcommitment, are they keeping you from finishing your current projects? You know, it's just like clutter. You know, clutter.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, they probably are.
So would letting go of some of that maybe free you up to actually complete some of the stuff? I mean, are you a person who like starts stuff and then doesn't finish it because you're like me, like, you know, distracted by shiny things, and you think, oh, I want to do that too, and I want to go here and I want to go there? Or
a little bit like that, but more like, I don't know, I do finish some things. I have to say that. And when I do, they look really, really good. So
Yeah.
that's my inspiration to keep going. So, but I end up accumulating so much stuff that, I have a hard time deciding what to do.
I
You know, what am I
understand.
going to do today? This or this or this or this. And lately, it's been pretty much the spirituality where I concentrate a lot of, and then I feel a little bit guilty about that because I do have a lot of other things that I could do. So
Yeah. I'm just going to have you pause for 1 second. We're just going to take a second for station identification, and we're just going to pause for just 3 seconds, and I'm going to let you pick up your thoughts. So, okay, please continue.
Okay, so it ends up that I just have too many choices, I think, and then I do end up doing one, but like I said, I'll feel guilty about the rest of it. Like I have a lot of stones for tying necklaces, that kind of thing, and I'm good at that too. But that's the problem. I'm good at too many things, and I like to do too many things.
Well, why feel guilty though about them? If they're all your
Because
projects.
it's all taking up space, and I just have a little space. So that's part of it. It seems like it's clutter in my life. It clutters my mind up too.
It does clutter you up. I had a great. I did a huge decluttering not so long ago, and I had to look at it like the clutter is sort of the same thing as it's an excuse to not do something because you're being restricted by the clutter. It's sort of like a non-verbal communication with yourself to allow you to not do something because you've set up a situation where it makes it impossible to do it, as opposed to just being okay with the fact of like, I don't have to do this right now. It's okay to do it later, but you can also imagine that it'll still be there if you don't if you don't buy those beads right now, if you don't buy that fabric right now.
Oh, but see, that's the problem in a small town. It's a small town with quite a few people. So,
well, either you move into a bigger space.
If you don't get it, then somebody else does. It won't be there when you go back.
Well, could you trust that when maybe there's something that because you have so much stuff already, you're missing the great thing that could be coming? You're tying up your money into something and there could actually be something more, and just having the trust that exactly what you need at the moment that you need it will be there?
I don't think I have that at all.
It's something to think about. Because in the spiritual world, we always say that everything
No,
comes
I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say I don't have that at all, because there's been times that I need a specific thing that, I'll go to a thrift store or whatever, and because I have to get a specific thing for a customer that is asking for particular colors, whatever, style, that kind of thing. So I have to find something specific, and I'll find myself not finding it right, and then I'll say, I could really use some help here, and all of a sudden it appears.
Right.
It's really strange. But yeah, I guess I do have that trust that if I just can't find it and I start getting frustrated, then I ask for help and then it appears.
Okay, well maybe you could ask for help or set the intention before you get frustrated. But I would encourage you, all the stuff that, like, for instance, how long has some of that stuff been sitting there that you haven't gotten to yet?
Well, over 3 years, because we moved here 3 years ago, and some of that moved here with us. So,
I would encourage you. Is it in boxes?
Some of it.
Do you know what's in the boxes? Do you have to dig through them to know what's in them?
Oh, I'd have to dig, yeah.
So in essence, if it were to just sort of disappear out of your life, you wouldn't even notice.
What ends up happening, though, is that I'll find something that I need, but it'll be later after I needed it because I can't find it. You know what I mean?
Well, what I would encourage you to do, I would very much encourage you to set aside a day and just go through a few of those boxes and really look at the stuff of, can I use that right now or in the next, say, month? And if you can't, I would take it back to the thrift shop from whence it came.
Well, it's complicated. because my business is well, it is complicated because I do the refashioned coats
I
from
understand.
sweaters, and so I never know what I'm gonna need. That's the problem, you
Okay.
know.
Well, you're obviously not ready to start looking at this situation.
Well, I tried. I mean, I really did. I went through my living room and I put some shelving up and I got some little fancy boxes to put some sweaters in so it doesn't look like a
Yeah,
disaster
but
anymore.
fancy boxes are still boxes.
Yeah, but I put the best stuff
Fancy
in those boxes.
packaging is still
You know what I
fancy
mean?
packaging. I understand. There's a
I
person
made
that
it look better.
I'm going to give you a
And
link after. Yeah, exactly. Listen, Brooks Palmer, I've had him on my show twice. He will change your life. He does a free thing about letting go of clutter. It's really, really important. Hi, Dougie. Yeah.
yeah,
So
she's getting her voice in on it too. That Mom, you're too busy.
Brooks Palmer. Brooks Palmer, everybody. Okay,
Yeah,
we're going to
it's
go on
not
to
so much like that. I mean, I did
we're
go
going
through
to
my
Rainbow.
living
Hey,
room
Rainbow.
and did go through a lot of stuff, and I am getting rid of some boxes of just material that I feel like
Okay.
I really can't use and that the quilters could use at the Senior Citizen
Yeah.
Center. So there's
Okay.
about 3 or 4 boxes of that stuff that's gonna come out, but
And,
it
and,
is
and
cold here, so
okay,
you
wait,
know.
just a minute, in just a quick minute, what would happen if you actually did get rid of that stuff and cleared out your space and really made it efficient? You know,
Well, yeah,
how would that?
that's the idea, that I am gonna give away some stuff like that I am not gonna use. So, that would definitely be a plus.
Would it
Yeah.
make you feel freer? Would you feel lighter?
I think I'd feel a little lighter getting rid of the things I know I'm not going to use. You know what I mean? But other things, like, I know I have a lot of sweaters and stuff like that, but like I said, I kind of do need those because it takes, I mean, up to 20 sweaters to make one coat.
I
So
understand. I understand.
in that respect, I do need a lot of
Well, you
stuff
brought it
for
up.
that.
I mean, you
But it's
brought it
just
up.
that, yeah, it's just not just the coat thing though. It's like I want to make soap and I have all the stuff to do that, but I haven't done it yet. And see, and I have about 5 chandeliers that need to be painted that I upcycle, but I haven't done that yet. And yeah, see,
Could
I
you
just maybe too.
delegate? Could you delegate some of the stuff?
Well, there's only me.
Well, could you find someone else to help you or not?
Well, I've tried to get, like a young girl or somebody but the thing is, they don't really want to work. They just want the stuff.
Oh.
If you know what I mean.
No, I don't.
Well, I'll make one for me, and then, or you make one and show me how to do it, and then they want it, and then they don't do anymore. So that's kind of how it works. I've tried to have someone come in and help with the coats too, because actually sometimes I get too many orders and I get backed up. But it's hard to find somebody that wants to work, seriously.
Okay.
I hate to say that, but it is.
Okay.
But yeah, so I guess I hide my clutter. There you go.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Yes, I see that, Sabrina. I agree with you. Okay. Rainbow, what is it
Hello.
that you're, hi, what is it you're pretending not to know? And with what you're pretending not to know, if you stop pretending not to know it, how would your life be different?
Well, it's being honest with your belief systems which you house. I like the talk we had about the food sources, and like when I go shopping, back in the day you wouldn't consider it, you just pick something up which you liked. But now if I look at something, it's like 1,000 beliefs just pop up about it, and I'm like, oh. Especially on meat, because a lot of the meat which is in the shops, you don't know where it comes from, you don't know if the animals were treated nice, you don't know if that affects it. I'll probably have to talk to some channeler about it. But for me, it's really just taking action on what I know I want in the moment without hesitation, because I find we waffle on a lot. There's a lot of waffling on people do. There's a lot of pushing, like.
But okay, but I don't want to talk about other people. I want to talk about you. So what are you pretend? Yeah, this isn't about other people. This is about what are you?
Me just not being honest, really. Just waffling on, just not getting.
So what are you not honest about?
I love psychedelics.
Okay.
I love salvia, but it's very scary because that literally catapults you into another dimension. where beings speak to you and you really see the value of, well, that you're not alone because these beings are intelligent, and you get that core connection because it's straight through you. Doing channeling, I wouldn't mind that.
But that's not the question. What do you pretend? This talk is about self-awareness, being aware of yourself, and in being aware of yourself, this is about honestly looking at yourself, where you are, where you want to be. And so, there's probably things you know about yourself. You may not. You might be one of those people who is not pretending about anything, that isn't holding back anything. So is there anything about yourself that you pretend that you don't know? And if you let go of that pretense of not pretending not to know it. It's a better way of saying not dealing with certain things. Would it make a difference in your life? I guess maybe that's an easier way to say it.
Seeing my dad, I haven't seen in 22 years, something I really want to do, but I've been putting it off because I'm scared of going to Nigeria for many different reasons. You always see these terrorist stuff and people blowing up and all this stuff, and then hearing stuff, and then you're like, maybe I'll go a little bit later. That kind of stuff, or what do you mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, if that's something that you're pretending, is there another reason really of not going to Nigeria other than possible terrorism, or is there a reason that, is it a priority issue for you? Is it not important enough for you, or I can't answer that for you. You have to say to me.
I'll go. I've been putting it off, but I'll go. I don't know. I just want to get it, and I feel like I get it, but I'm just not acting on it in every moment.
Do you have issues with your dad?
No, I haven't spoken to him in 22 years.
Could you not call him on the phone, or does he not have a phone?
I don't think he answers.
Okay.
But I have brothers and sisters there, and they would welcome me.
And have you talked to them?
Yeah, on Facebook sometimes.
So if in approaching them, would that give you any kind of peace of mind, or not?
Yeah. Because I don't even know my mum, so I only know that female side. I want to know my masculine side, who I am.
Right.
And I can tell that by the upbringing, like who my parents were. That's
right. So you didn't know them growing up. Were you adopted over here?
No. They had a divorce when I was very young.
Okay. So you didn't know your mom.
And I didn't know my dad.
Oh,
I knew
you
my
didn't know
mom.
your dad. Okay. Yeah. Well, maybe that's like a missing piece for you, and maybe it's more, confronting.
I feel that I need to learn.
Yeah. If you because I can imagine, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I can imagine that there's a loss that's associated with not having your dad or not knowing him, and in a way, it takes away any excuse that you've had for maybe being angry at that, or not doing stuff. I don't want to put any restriction on you, but
That's good. He was like more the financial side of the family. I have a huge issue with finances.
Yeah.
Like he was a pilot back in the day. He was part of Nigerian. He was pretty well off, and we used to travel a lot and had that lifestyle. And then when the divorce came, it just went all tits down.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just feel like I need to know both sides of myself, and that includes the side of my father, because, well,
that's part of it.
Yeah, I'm his son. Yeah.
Yeah, I think also too, and I can speak for myself and my own family. When you're trying to make peace within yourself with your own family, the only thing that you can really do is realize that that person is who they are. And this isn't me telling you, I'm just saying from my own perspective. That person is who they are. And there just comes a point where you have to be willing to accept them as they are or not. And without any expectation that they're going to give you anything more or say anything more or have any more awareness about how they've affected your life. And that's the challenge that we have in facing them, because there's maybe the expectation of what is going to be the outcome of the encounter. And if it's really just to know that person, just to know them, just in the purest sense of the word, it's like almost going to see a monument. You just want to come in contact with it, because there may not be anything else you get. And that's the hardest part of, am I going to get the validation of is that person going to apologize to me for the pain they caused me? Do they have any awareness of what they've done? That's the questions we have, but it's not always the outcome that we get. So the biggest challenge is being willing to accept all the outcomes, but having made the attempt. And that's the hard part, and I can imagine that's the avoidance. Because you may or may not get that. He may never say to you, I'm sorry, I fucked up excuse my language, as a father, and I screwed you guys over, and I just didn't live up to what I should have done. Or he may do absolutely the opposite. So I would say it's definitely something to think about. And if you may or may not ever be willing to face that. And that's up to you.
I will.
Okay, good for you. Good for you.
Thank you. That was it then.
All right, cool. All right, I'm going to move on to the next question, because I want to, because there's a bunch of questions, so I just want to go through the next one. But just for everyone, just to re-emphasize what we're talking about, this is about looking at yourself, just yourself, each individual person looking at themselves and understanding more about who we are, why we're there. I will just say to what do I pretend not to know? I pretend very much like I don't have deep feelings about certain things. I pretend that always everything is okay. I pretend sometimes that I don't get angry or that things hurt me, but they really do. Things hurt. They hurt me, and I think in my thing about not showing that is because I don't really want to have to feel everything all the time. So I don't do drugs or drink or anything, but my way of avoiding them is just to put them away and not deal with them. And in that vulnerability, sometimes I know that it makes it hard for people to really, really know me, because I don't tell them. I don't share everything. And so then I have to look at, well, why don't I share anything? Because maybe I don't really 100% want to be known by everyone or by even some people. And sometimes in relationships, that's been the complaint, that they don't know me. And so that's what I have to work on. And what do I really know? I know that I don't always show my complete vulnerability, because then I don't have to risk being more hurt. That's what I know about myself.
What would happen if you accepted those parts of yourself?
Well, I don't know. I haven't done it yet completely, but I can imagine that it would just, it would allow someone to get really, really close. And to be honest, I don't know how much I really want that. So I guess when I decide I really, really want that, then I know that that's what I will need to do,
And what's the worst that can happen?
Nothing. Nothing could ever happen, really. That's the worst. I mean, I've been through the crap relationships, and I've had great relationships. The crap ones were pretty crap. So, and those were the ones that I really tried to let myself be seen. I just maybe tried with the wrong person. It's one thing to try to let yourself be seen with someone who doesn't really, and then the people that want to see you're so gun shy then that you don't show yourself anymore. So I think my timing was off. I should have shown myself to the people that wanted to see me and not show myself to the people that didn't care. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have the complete answer for that yet.
much thinking to do.
Yeah. Or just not think about it and just do it. Yeah. It's the vulnerability, and the question, what I said about being, like I said it in the beginning of that, when I had a maid at one point, and that was a big thing for me to let someone in my house and to clean my house, because they could go through every part of my house, and I had to be okay with it. That was a big
that trust level, definitely.
yeah. It's the same thing of like, I don't have any issues with intimacy. Like, I have no problems with someone touching me, but it's, in a way, it's allowing someone to really touch you. They're touching all your stuff. And also too, like, maybe they would be here touching my stuff when I wasn't here. So that was also.
Was it more of a fear of what they would do with the information, or what?
No. It wasn't a fear. It's not a fear. It's a more of, I don't want it.
Oh, okay. Well, some part of you wanted it, or you wouldn't have had it made in the first place.
No, I know. But that was what I realized, because the maid thing wasn't a big one, but right. It was more of a thing of like, I had to be willing to just let somebody in. And I know that there's a correlation between that and, say, letting someone be really, really close to me. And that's not to say that I don't have people that are really, really close. I'm just saying that I know for me that that's not always my, first thing. Yeah, it's not, well, no, forte isn't the right word. It's not, no, because forte is like a skill. It's more of it's more like, there's very few people that I would really want to open up completely to. And I could be maybe more open, And
that's the thing, is, would you be willing to choose to go down that road?
I don't know. I don't know yet. I don't know. But I am showing, more of my life to people. I am sharing more of my life to people. I always used to keep everything very separate, and I was so proud of myself today. I couldn't believe I did this, but I always kept my life in compartments. Like, I had the spiritual part of me, I had the singer part of me, and I had the business world part of me. And never did those meet each other.
Did that rub off from your parents? I mean, did they like
that? No. I think it's really me. I'm not going to blame anybody. It's not a blaming thing. But it's just more of like, I always felt that certain people needed to see certain parts of me, and they didn't need to see other parts of me because they maybe weren't appropriate in that situation. Like, in my work life, they really probably didn't need to know I was a channel and a medium.
Okay.
In my singing life, they definitely didn't care about my spiritual life. So I always kept those things separate. And then a few years ago, I really started to combine them and just say, okay, this is me, and putting it out there. So today in my work, I said to my boss, I said, I'm a channel. I would have never said that to him.
Was that a big relief for you to say that?
It's more about, wasn't relief, it was more of just, this is me.
Yeah.
And not and not pretending I didn't have anything else than just that moment, or being not even not pretending, but just never talking about it. I think there's certain people, everything that they're doing. They're going home, they're going here, they're doing that. No one knows what I do when I leave a room. It's just like gone, So
I appreciate this Karen, this one that just is vulnerable, that opens up, because it attracts so much to you, though. But that's the thing, you might that unexpected attraction from others, or that you're allowing yourself. It shows other people that they can open up to.
Well, I hope so. I'm not doing it for anybody but myself. So if anybody gets a benefit, great.
Yeah, questions that you.
It's all about me.
Yeah, these questions that you're bringing to us and creating something like this is beautiful, because it's allowing others to say, what could I look at within myself? So this is brilliant.
So for me, that's the biggest thing. I'll tell you another secret. Like, you know, about vulnerability. Like, I never would want my mother to see me sad. For me, because I know she gets sad. So there's things like that that are very, you know, I don't let her see that. I guess if she watches this, she'll know. But, you know, yeah. But those things.
You really think your mother doesn't know that you do get sad?
I don't think she knows. Well, I'm sure she knows I get sad, but I think like the times in my life where I've been really, really down or really, really sad, I didn't let anybody see it.
Because she knew how it affects her.
Yeah, I knew how it affected her, and I didn't, you know, I didn't want to let anybody else see that. So.
But I would also argue that perhaps, you know, you're showing whatever piece. In other words, I'm going to let you see whatever I want you to see.
Yeah, that's for sure. I'm not denying that at all.
So there's a protectiveness.
Yeah, there's protection. It's a protection.
Which is, at the end, fear.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's my thing, and how it will make me. And the second part of the question of how will me knowing that or not doing that, how will that change me? I don't know. I really don't know.
I see it as self-empowerment. I mean, you're coming out saying, this is who I am. And just allow people to come up with their own, you know, how they want to view you. It doesn't really matter to you, right? And it's beautiful because that vulnerability, it is so much of an attraction. It's just like, wow, they can be them. And people walk by and say, wow, look at her. Look, she can be herself at any given time and not expect anything from others. And but yet you have.
Thanks, Brian.
Well, you know what I mean. It really is an empowerment.
Yeah. Okay. Says you.
It's a confidence builder also.
Or says you.
It's brilliant.
Maybe. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. Like Valerie can't get over the boxes. I'm not convinced that I have to do this.
But don't you think that by us allowing ourselves to be vulnerable in front of each other, and it starts to open up us as a society so as to really be there for each other and stop pretending.
Yeah.
You know, because I think a lot of times there's too much pretending that goes on between people, even people that known each other for years.
I know.
So I think for us learning to open yourself up, and you know, we might fall and it'll happen, but we get up and we keep going. We dust ourselves off and we keep going. Because that's part of why we're here.
No. I think I never wanted to be one of those, you know, I never wanted, I don't ever want to be one of those people, and I probably still don't, that really ever falls apart. I don't want to ever be that person who crumbles, you know, because I don't know, you know, I'm not 100% sure. And I'm not on the edge of crumbling, so I can say this from a very good place right now. But who knows what happens in the future, you know? But I never want to be in that spot where you're so down that you're not sure you're going to get up. And there was a moment years ago where I was hurting so much, and I remember it was like teetering on the edge of something. I was so sad I couldn't even stand up in the shower. I mean, I really couldn't even stand up. I had to just sit down in the shower. You know, in a shower, there's not a bathtub. I couldn't stand up.
So this was very emotional.
So you have been there.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not saying that but nobody saw that. It was just me. I didn't show anybody that. I didn't tell anybody that. I was really like, you know, to the rest of the world, I was just, you know, I didn't. And I pushed myself through it, but I really remember feeling like I was on the edge of a cliff, and that if I were to let go, I didn't know if I would get back up again. So,
But did you think they would have thought you were weak?
No, I wasn't. It wasn't about other people's perception of me. It was really not knowing if I could come out of that deep pain, because I was so physically, I was hurting so much that I was experiencing pain in my heart, in myself. Huh?
Was it a part of kind of like a small, like a depression?
I don't know if it was a depression, but I know that it was the greatest. It was anguish.
Oh.
It was sadness, and it was anguish beyond anything I'd ever felt.
Did you have anxiety?
No.
May I say something?
Who's that?
This is Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Hello. I know exactly what you mean because I went through this myself. And I found that when I was ready to share my pain, that's when the pain lessened. I had held it in so long that it became that painful. And I did not share with anyone. I would be smiling and be in pain on the inside. And everybody would believe that everything is okay. Everything is fine with that. And I would go home and I would literally cry my eyes out. And it did not lessen until I came to the point of showing my true self, feeling into my true self, and knowing that I can share this with someone. Because once you share, the energy begins to flow.
Yeah.
The energy begins to be released from you because you're speaking it and releasing all of that those things you just held within yourself. So I think the strongest is the person who is willing to share what they are, the pain that they're feeling within themselves.
Yeah, I didn't share the pain, but eventually I let go of the pain. But I didn't share it with anybody. And I don't know that I needed to go out and tell anybody. I did it. I got through it on my own, through just the distance of time, being a healer in and of itself, and finally just being so tired of being sad and being tired. I finally just was like, I finally was able to let it go. And that was me holding on to that sadness and me holding on to that pain. But it was in the moments when it was excruciating, it was excruciating. So I mean, I agree that you can share your pain with other people, but sometimes you can also look for relief in other people when the true relief comes from you letting go of it as well.
And both answers are correct.
Of course, yeah, I agree. Yeah. So in my instance, in that one particular instance, it was me that let go of that. It was me that put it. I did talk to people, but what I found is sometimes when you talk to people too much, you don't move on. You just enjoy staying in the pain and reveling in it, and it creates the cycle of just, every time you talk to somebody, let's talk about my problems kind of situation. But the truest, deepest pain that I had only was solved when I really let it go myself.
Right.
But I share it now because I have a good perspective of it, and I'm not in that pain. I'm not anywhere in that at all. But I really know what it's like for your whole body to hurt because you're so absolutely sad. You're so sad. But that's not something that in that moment, well, it's, now I'm kind of getting off the subject, but I know for a fact that wasn't anything anybody could have solved for me. There was nothing that anybody could have done. Maybe I could have shared it with somebody, but the only thing at that point, someone can just give you a hug and say, I hope it's going to be okay. It may or may not have been okay for me until I was really rather willing to let it go. So, but about what is it that I pretend not to know? I think I pretend not to have to hurt or be sad, and I'm not right now. I'm not sad about anything, but in my life, that's the thing. That's the part. I could be more vulnerable. I could be more open about what I'm thinking about myself and how I'm feeling and my own insecurities and stuff like that. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next question because, well, just because there's not much more to say about it. Okay, let me get the next one. And I know, Michelle, you want to share something, but hold your thing because it probably will apply to this next one as well. Okay. Here we go. This is the big question. What are your what don't you why don't you do the things you know you should be doing? Life isn't about figuring out what to do. The real challenge is simply doing the things we know we should be doing. And no one gets the default of there's no shoulds either. No one gets that one.
The default. Oh, there's no shoulds?
Yeah, because I could hear someone go, well, there's nothing that you should be doing. Well,
exactly.
I was about right to say
you don't get that one. You don't get that one.
But then I put a condition on it.
No.
You're putting a condition on it.
Conditions.
I'm saying
expectation.
Okay, but for the sake of this exercise, if there is something that you say that you want in your life, okay?
Like how to get there, the steps to get there.
Why aren't you doing the things that you should be doing to get there? Why?
Because something else is your highest joy in that moment.
Okay, you don't get to say that either.
Keep it simple. Do you want the simplified?
No, I want the real answer. I don't want these like new agey.
But that's simplification.
That's
called avoidance.
That's avoidance. I can, that's avoidance.
You want the complicated, the struggle.
I want the examining of yourself, the honest truth about why are you not doing the thing that you need to be doing.
You may have not fully conceptualized what the thing is.
Okay, that's not the answer either.
Well, it is.
Okay, okay, if you don't get to play this game. This is about honesty. Because that's so pat. Because everyone says I want to have something. Well, then why aren't you taking steps to get there? What is it that you want? Okay, Brian, what is your goal? What is your real goal? Jail?
Yes.
Jail is your goal?
No, channeling.
God, channeling.
Oh, jail.
Jail. I think you want to go to jail? I can get you there in 5 minutes.
Got it.
I swear I thought he said jail like 3 times. I'm like, jail? And you're like, jail. Channeling.
Channeling. I'll break it down a little bit.
That's your goal, channeling.
Which, I'm already doing in a way. And so the fear is totally letting go. Not being in control of some essence of that.
Okay.
So it would be more of a conscious change.
Okay. So that doesn't apply to this question. Why well, I mean, no, but honestly, because this isn't about channeling. This is about things in your life that you are not doing that you think you should be doing. What is it that you would
see? That's very hard for me, for my situation, because.
What's your situation then?
When you say what you should be doing, if I at least making the steps.
Why don't you? The question is not.
Right.
You like to project out. You like to talk about people. No, but you're not allowed to do that in this.
Okay. For me.
This is why don't you do the things that you know that you should be doing in order to get to where you want to go. And that can be anything. Are you there? Everything in your life is perfect?
But to me, it's not about the final destination because it would be no fun.
Okay, what is it that you're...
So I like the process. I like the process. I'm just saying
What is it in your life that you're not doing that you should be doing? Honest time. This is honesty stuff.
Sorry, I can't go with the should because the should is a limitation.
What is it in your
Ask me
life?
this question.
Okay, if you're not willing to play the game,
Brian,
pass
is there
on.
something in your
Sorry,
life
Karen.
that you
Karen.
want?
Wait,
that
no,
you
no,
don't
no
have?
interrupting. Yeah. Ask it again, Sabrina. What?
Brian,
Yes.
is there something in your life that you would like to have but you don't have at the moment?
Oh, okay, okay.
Jesus
A
Christ.
strong relationship,
Okay, why don't you have that?
female partner. What's that?
And why don't you have that?
Well, it takes two, and when you have one that's willing and the other's not, it just doesn't work. So it's not all up to me, is it?
Okay, yes, that's you really you're not playing the game the right way.
I just don't.
Because there's some things that you could do. What in
Karen.
relationships are compromised. Yes.
No, go
What?
ahead, O'Neill. Go ahead.
We're gonna
Karen.
skip Brian. Yes. What?
Can you give us an example? Just give us an example so we know what you mean.
That might
Well,
help.
okay, for instance, if you know that you want to, say, start a business, okay, and you know that the business you want to start it requires you to have some kind of degree or some kind of training, the question is, why are you not going that next step?
Can't be asked. I'd love to start a business. Can't be asked to learn the whole business and finance side. It's just like, it feels like someone pricking a needle into me just thinking about it. But I know that's silly because if I were to do it, I'd have the best time of my life owning my own business and having that fundamental understanding and being able to steer it in the direction I would like. But of course,
Okay,
it's
so
just
then
taking
why are you not doing that then?
I can't be fucked.
What does that mean?
It's long, it's boring. I'm making a lot of excuses. That's pretty much it.
And the biggest thing of why are you making the excuses?
I honestly don't know. Like, I honestly don't know because I know if I did it, my life would be better. I would take more charge of it. I could steer it in the direction I want. I would feel more confident, more comfortable. But I don't know. I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
What would it take to get you to do those things?
I feel like it would help to have a lot of
Not
good
what it
people
would
around
help.
me.
It would help. It would take good people around you to
Like
do
having
those
good people
things.
around me. Yeah.
What kind
Having a
of good
team,
people?
having friends who like-mindedness, who
Well, you
we can
got
work together.
1,
But
2, 3, 4, 5, 6 friends here right now. We're basically
all right, well, let's
like-minded,
make.
except for Brian, who won't play the game. So I'm just kidding, Brian. But I mean, you've got 6 people around you. Do they have to be physically around you? Can they be virtually around you? We're virtually around you. We're all rooting for you. We want you to do well.
I think the start is just talking to people about it, and this is a good medium for that. So thank you for that.
Admitting it. Yeah.
Yeah, just like I want basically just a retreat where people can come and just be their honest selves, whether that's crazy or something,
It's not
but
crazy.
in a safe environment where literally they can do whatever the hell they want within means of integrity, but where the environment is safe and there is no judgment because we all understand each other and what's going on.
Okay, well, I get all that. So, but the word I heard was retreat. So
Oh yeah, retreat, 100%.
What does it take to have a retreat?
Well, you need the facilities, the land, whether that's land or something. That can be organized. Need to know where, need to know people who you can work with. Like, I don't care if it's free. Like, I just enjoy having people just be themselves around me.
So, but just to go backwards, I think the philosophy of the retreat is great. The location idea is all that's workable. But what is it that you should be doing? Is that really your big goal? Is that really what you want?
Yeah, because in the end, I can welcome people to do what they want around me, and I can do what I want around them, and that kind of thing.
So, what do you need to be doing to make that happen?
Find a location, the main thing, because that's it pretty much. Where we're going to do it, and then Well, that's the first start. Find the location.
Is the money of it, is that not an issue? It's just finding the location and starting?
Money can be worked around. It's not really an issue. Just finished off a offshore wind training, so I'll be earning good money now.
Okay.
I can invest in that.
Okay, so what would be your next step then? Find the location. So what would you need to do that?
I've checked out, well, the internet is the main thing, but
Maybe
word of
call a
mouth.
realtor?
What?
Call a realtor?
Realtor?
Someone
Okay.
who, I mean, if finding location is the thing, would maybe go into someone who knows locations, maybe talking to someone who has a similar retreat to find out how they do it, how they plan it, and then start making a plan about how to do it. Give yourself a time frame.
That's the thing, getting pen to paper.
But what's stopping you from doing that?
Because I'm lazy, Karen. Very, very lazy. Plus, I smoke weed, and that doesn't really help because all I want to do is just eat food.
Okay.
But yeah. I'll do it. I'll do it. Sorry. I'll do it. I'm on it. I'm on it, Karen. Sorry. I'm on it. I'll stop talking. Start acting.
All right. Michelle, I'm going to ask you. She's been dying to talk, so please talk, Michelle. But just before you talk, I always want to say, does everyone understand now sort of the question? Because you can always say, I want to do something, but even in, Rainbow's discussion, I'm sure he does, but he kind of doesn't. He doesn't want to do it enough yet. So also maybe part of this question is, what will give you that impetus to go further? What is really the stakes? There's something about the stakes being high enough that you're really willing to push yourself that little bit further. So what does it take to get you to do what you need to do? What is the big, what do you think you're going to give up by not doing something? Like you gave me every excuse why you're not doing it, but I want to know, what would it take to get you to do it? So if smoking pot keeps you lazy, does it mean stopping smoking pot? So Michelle, please.
Actually, this is one of my biggest issues because I have a lot of moral and philosophical convictions galore, things I'd like to do, things I plan to do, and I have all this kind of newfound belief system about I create my own reality, and what I really understand is that I guess I'm going to assume, I want to say this out loud because I really want feedback, because I irritate myself so much.
Okay.
Because, like, for instance, okay, I have hundreds of drawings, and people say, oh, Michelle, your drawings are great, you should blah, 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 and I've, like, had this idea of what I want to do with this for, like, a long time, and I just look at it, and I'm like, oh, my God, I can't do that. And it gets even to, like, oh, there's a bill, or, like, just any little thing that's, like, a grown-up normal thing seems way too overwhelming to handle, to my detriment, always. Like,
well, okay, let's start with a small thing then.
Sabotage cycle.
Okay, but how is so basically, like, you get the electric bill and what happens then?
Well, actually, I have most of that stuff on automatic pay, so I don't have to be in charge.
Okay, but you gave an example, so give me an example that validates what you just said.
I'll give you a huge for instance. I had...
Give me not a for instance, give me a real situation.
I'm going to.
Okay.
Okay, so I had, many months ago, I had to have some root canals.
Mm-hmm.
And before they were going to put the caps on,
mm-hmm.
my mouth was in just too much pain, and we couldn't figure out why. And so I never have had the caps put on. I no longer have insurance now in which to pay for it. And also, it's going to cost a lot of money. So I just keep here's what I keep doing. I keep like going, knowing that my body is just going to restore itself and my teeth are magically going to appear brand new. Okay. So like I do things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a really practical matter. Or say I got.
Well, let's deal with that one first.
Okay.
So basically you put off taking care of your teeth
Mm-hmm.
until such a situation where you didn't have insurance anymore.
Yes.
So can you not get insurance again?
Well,
can't you get insurance again?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's like
well,
too big. That seems like
yes.
Well, you can get insurance because do you have an income?
No.
So you would be eligible for insurance under Obamacare with no income.
Yeah, which I technically have, but
well, you don't technically have it if you don't have it.
I technically will not call a dentist. So I can't explain this because I just want my teeth to magically fix themselves.
Okay.
May I say something though?
1 second. So, okay, so the issue is that you know a situation, but you just don't want to deal with it.
Correct.
Do you know why you don't want to deal with it?
I'm gonna know. I already know that it's always fear-based.
But do you know the reason that you have the fear then? I want to have a conversation that people don't default into bumper stickers, because that doesn't solve people's problems a lot of time, just quoting what we've heard a million other times. Your real practical problem is you've got exposed nerves in your mouth right now. You're in excruciating pain. The solution for you would be to pick up the phone and call and get your insurance instated, and to take those steps, and then to go to the dentist, or find a way in the meantime to do something on a spiritual, I would suggest to you oil pulling. That also can help. But sometimes the spiritual thing is to use the doctor who has spent his entire life learning how to make you feel better. That's just as spiritual as doing something without a doctor. There's nothing unspiritual about a doctor.
I realize that there's the fear of money, fear of spending money, the fear of I've done this before and they failed. All of these were failed previous procedures.
Yeah.
My idea was go on medical tourism so I could afford it, but then I would need to update my visa. Like, okay, you know how you were talking at the beginning of the thing, and it's like kind of like, oh, that shiny thing. So like I would much rather do things that are not practical but are I don't know, that I enjoy.
Yeah.
And do a practical thing. Practical things, absolutely, for some reason I have so much resistance to.
For a lot of spiritual people,
to my detriment.
For a lot of spiritual people, practicality, for some reason, there's a problem with it. We think that we're supposed to just go and everything just...
May I say something?
Sure.
What we have here is actually a fear of both sides. We have the fear of the spirituality and not truly believing she can create her own reality, because the frequency of how she said it meant that she didn't believe she can actually make a reality where her tooth would, she says, like magically fix itself. So there's a fear on that side. Also, there's a fear on the side. Can you hear me?
Yes.
There's a fear also on the side of going to the doctor. So she's actually pulling herself into ways and not really going anywhere because of the money, because of the insurance, because of the doctor and what's happened in the past.
Yeah. So what's the answer then, Sarah? Where would you recommend?
She actually has to let those sides go. The path of least resistance would be to go to the doctor, because she doesn't have that belief within herself just yet. That is the path of least resistance.
Mm-hmm.
However, she has to find a way wherein, one, it wouldn't cost so much money. Two, find another doctor, because obviously the one you went to, you do not trust them. And look at what people have said. If there's a doctor out there in your neighborhood that people recommend to say they have done great work with them, follow that up. And go and get the insurance that would be the least expensive for you. That would be the path of least resistance at this moment.
Well, if she has no income, I don't think she'd have to pay
I
anything for
understand
insurance. Yeah.
Exactly.
But the kinds of things I need, insurance doesn't pay for, or they pay like a very tiny percentage of anyway.
Yes,
Well,
there's a
there's
lot of
other
rules over
options.
here, Karen. There's
Yeah,
a lot
I
of rules over
understand.
here to
I
that.
understand, but there's other options. Like, for instance, you could go to a dental college, and that you could follow
Yes.
that. You know, there's different ways to do things that you could approach. I don't know what it would cost, but is it not possible for you to?
Here's the real deal. I understand all of these things. I've already called the colleges. I already have I just throw it out of the back of my mind, and like I'm not in pain right now because I just keep knowing. I keep knowing that this is gonna just like heal itself. That's what I just keep knowing.
Okay.
That's why you're okay with it, because you're not in pain at the moment.
That's right. And that's kind of how
discomfort, you will want to do something about it.
And that is kind of how everything in my life is. Unless I am in excruciating pain, it is not important enough for me to take care of. Like, Karen, you were talking about how you really, some people really have all their ducks in a row. They like to know what's happening. I don't even know what that looks like.
Well, I mean, a highly creative person, I just read something the other day that highly creative people usually don't have their ducks in a row, and they thrive under the pressure because that's when they can rise to the occasion,
Yes.
And for them, they sort of need that. But I think there can be a balance as well.
Well, I would love a balance. I mean, that's just one of many, many, many examples.
Did you ever watch Friends? Did you ever watch that show Friends?
Yeah.
Do you remember when Chandler was going to get married to Monica and he freaked out and he ran away? Do you remember that?
Vaguely. Maybe.
Well, basically what happened is he was like, oh, it's too much. It's too big to think about walking down the aisle. And what Ross said to him he said, well, is taking a shower too much right now? And so he was like, no, I can do that. So after he took a shower, Ross said to him, well, why don't you just go ahead and put on your suit? And, he gave it to him in little baby steps. And eventually the next step would be going to the church and going, so the idea is maybe instead of trying to look at what you want to do in the big frame of it, but take the little steps and just allow yourself to take those little steps without worrying about the full outcome of it, But I would encourage you to take care of your teeth before you're in such pain that, you're screaming. Because there's this also idea, this is you. This is, you don't get any more real than your own physicality and your own body and your body is your temple.
Right.
So
I know that.
I would say to you that there's a part of you that's not honoring yourself by taking care of yourself. No, and it's not a judgment. What I'm trying to say is, so that's the question.
No, I really agree with that.
Yeah. So why aren't you wanting to honor yourself?
Exactly. I don't know.
Okay.
Because all of this feels like, that's just one example of many examples. Like whether it's getting.
But this is the one we're talking about. So let's stay on one subject.
So yeah, why? I don't know.
Are you not a priority for you?
I'm sorry?
We're just going to hold for 1 second. Sabrina's been so good. Every 30 minutes she's giving me, we'll take just a quick break for station identification. We missed the last one, but we'll do it now. Okay. Are you not a priority for you?
I think that sounds accurate.
Okay. So if you're not a priority for you, that comes down to the valuing of yourself. You know, and I'm sure we all do this to any degree, but right now we're on you. So the big question would be, how can you find a way to value you so that you are willing to give yourself what you need and find that to be worth your time, worth your focus, worth your energy.
Yes, I would like the answer to that, please.
That's for you. That's for you to find. You know, how do you find it? You know, what do you think it would give you? Matt Kahn always says that we should say to ourselves the words that we've been waiting to hear all of our lives. He says that. He says if there's something missing in your life, the only one that can give it to you is you.
Right.
We can't wait for someone else to come along and validate us or give us that feedback. So what is it that you need to hear from you? Ultimately, it's going to have to come from you, and we'll all say it to you. But I know that we all support each other a lot here in this forum and outside of this forum, and we're constantly giving each other advice. So usually, as much as advice is great, you know, until we take the advice into ourselves and really take our own advice and give it to ourselves in a way that's real, it doesn't really make that much difference. You know, not to disparage anybody's advice, but we can sometimes, because I see a lot people asking the same questions over and over again because they're not giving that to themselves. So what is it that you need as Michelle that makes her honor herself in every way? And just the dental stuff is just one of them.
So my first thing when you asked the question is I got teary. And
but we know that about you.
And the answer I got was, I am worth taking care of, and that my trust that the universe will provide, there's a disconnect between my desire to want to know that and my actual knowing that.
You know, sometimes the universe providing is facilitated by us helping the universe provide for us. You know, there's also the idea of that we can have an active part in creating that as well and doing it. Maybe it's working in some way or doing something to generate the funds, but the universe providing isn't always just sitting down and waiting for the universe to dump something on our lap. It's part of the effort. It's part of the co-creation and the working together as well. You know.
Yeah.
So I would just, because this isn't something we'll solve now, but I would encourage you to start thinking, what is it that I need to hear from myself, that I need to know in myself that lets me know that I am the priority for me?
Yeah.
Because ultimately we all have to be the priority for ourselves. No one else is going to put you into that place. It has to be a place that you step into for yourself, that you know for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Sabrina, what were you going to say? Sabrina puts great stuff in the chat, and it's nice when she said it. Sabrina, what?
So I would say that probably there are many, many things in her life, in her physical, in her environment, that are untaken care of, that she avoids doing. And
true.
she probably reached a point of overwhelm now that she doesn't know where to start, where to begin, because everything seems monumental. So I would say that maybe if you try starting to organize something in your life that is easy and simple for you to take care of, that doesn't require the help of anybody else but yourself. Because at the end, you are responsible for yourself. So if you start with something as simple as cleaning a room, and while you do that, think about the things that Karen has said. And start not only to organize the room, but organize your mind. And because that's really part of what it is.
The funny thing about that, and by funny I mean ironic, is that I know that, like, I have listened to Brooks Palmer's book on audio like at least 3 times.
Yeah.
And I have started and halted and started and halted and started and halted. And just other things come up, like, you know, I totaled my car, and then I went to pick Brooke up in Alabama, and then I went and saw my mother, who I didn't talk to for 10 years, and had a really amazing experience with her. And then Brooke came back with me, and then so I was in the middle of purging when before all that went down, and then I'm in a different space right now. And so now I am again like, oh, I need to listen to this book again and just clean my room. Okay.
So you started cleaning your room, and in the middle of cleaning the room, you drove down to your mother.
I'm sorry?
I said, so you were starting to clean a room, but you didn't finish cleaning the room. Instead, you went out of town and saw your mother.
Well, yeah, Brooke was having
Okay.
It was just a situation. And also, just from the previous topic, I made it through meditation. I wanted to mention this before. Through meditation, for some reason, it really came to me very strongly that I had found this compassion for my mother, and I had not spoken to her for 10 years because it was a very toxic relationship. And I realized that I had utter, complete compassion for her, and I wanted her to know that I loved her. Without expectation, without anything. And it was a really beautiful experience. But anyway, so I wanted to throw that out there for...
So what happened to the room, though?
Yeah, what happened to the room?
So the room...
You got back.
Yeah.
So you were in a state of bliss because you were happy.
Yeah.
Well, yes, but then I came back with another person, and then dynamics shifted, energy shifted, healing happening, different things. Other things, different things. So it was like my flow for that particular thing got interrupted. So now my focus was on what seemed the most important, which is some healing work.
But do you realize that at some point you have to create the habit off, whatever that may be? So just like we create the habit of brushing before we go to bed, you have to create the habit of sitting down and paying the bills. So sitting down and calling whatever calls you need to make. So even if it's just calls that you're sitting down to do, you sit down and take care of those things. And that's it. You don't do anything else. Just make phone calls. You need to break it down for yourself and say, okay, at 2 o'clock, I'm going to make all the phone calls that I need to make. And then just take care of that. And that might include things about your teeth or things about insurance or things, you know. So it might include a few things, but only phone calls. But you have to create habits for yourself because obviously you're not getting moved to do it on your own. So you need to create a space where you say, right now I'm going to take care of these things. And you can even reward yourself for doing that because then you start associating one thing with the other. But it's the only way that it's going to happen because no book, no words from Karen, no words from me, no words from anybody, it's ever going to be enough because you will always find an excuse, or we always do. I'm not trying to attack you because we all do it. We all do the same thing. We all do avoidance in some kind of way for something.
I
So
feel like it's a really particularly good skill I have.
Well, is it serving
Avoiding
you?
the
I mean, how
obvious.
is it serving you, though, Michelle?
Yeah,
Because
that is a really good question. You know what? I think
is,
I noticed Rainbow Momentum said it allows me to stay small. It allows me to
but can I say
not
something
feel
to
like
you?
I have to rise to some.
But you constantly express that you want to rise.
I know, which is very confusing.
No, it's
Yes.
not confusing. Well, okay, he says yes. It's confusing to me in the way of, okay, if you want to stay small, why do you want to rise? Then I would argue that you don't want to stay small.
I think that is accurate also. It's
So
true. Well, okay, we
I
do
would
it.
say to you that it's a matter of baby steps. It's a matter of setting realizable goals for yourself that are not big. You know, we're not saying go out and start a huge, you know, multinational company. We just want you to clean the room or make a phone call or, you know, those little things, those goals, and they can be broken down into the smallest moment of setting the goal of at 2 o'clock, like Sabrina said, I'm going to sit down and make a phone call.
Yes,
Do it.
I
And then once
understand
you
the
do it,
concept, and I've done this, and I've done it, and I've been very good at it
well,
in the
but we're
past.
talking about what you haven't done. This isn't.
So,
You don't get to be the hero of your own story when you're talking about what you're not doing. So,
I have a suggestion.
okay.
When you wake up, Michelle,
uh-huh.
I don't know if you do this already, but if you just make a list, and it doesn't have to be something huge, just make the list. It could be one word, and it could be just call.
Oh, I was going to go phone call. That's 2 words. That's call. Call's
Just
one
call.
word.
Just make it one word. Just
Yeah.
put it on the paper. And if you want to have something specific that you want to call about, insurance, uh, dental, doctor for dental work, just dental doctor, or just something
Give
small.
yourself more than one word,
A full
Sarah.
sentence. Just put it down on paper at the beginning of your day, and you'd be surprised by just that intention alone, just that alone, that would generate itself into you actually doing it for that day. Just put that intent right there at the beginning of the day when you wake up.
Okay.
And limit to like maybe 3 things. Just 3 things.
Yeah.
You can even say 3 things by 10 or 3 things by noon, depending on when you wake up.
I
And then
wouldn't give a time period because then she's going to get upset if she doesn't do it by that time.
all right, okay.
I would literally just put just that word as soon as you wake up, and that's it, and leave it at that. And you'd be surprised By just with the intention alone, you will get it done.
And then the next day you can just take a step further.
Exactly.
And then once you achieve that one thing, then do something else.
Because then it would be done. And then you would say, oh, I'm clear, my mind is free, and it's done.
I know. When I do it, I'm really excited about it.
Exactly. And give yourself a chocolate bar at the end, you know, like, or whatever excites you. But you will be so happy. You will be so happy that it gets done at the end of the day.
It is true. I can't tell you how much solar plexus / heart situation I have going on around this right now. Because sometimes I feel like one thing is absolutely paralyzing.
Yeah.
Like if it's your stuff and you need help, no problem. But if it's my stuff...
Has this always been, or is this just lately?
I would say it's been a pretty ingrained pattern.
Well, there's things you obviously do. You obviously feed yourself because you're not dead. You obviously sleep. No, I mean, seriously. So,
yeah.
You know, there's some things that you do.
I mean, there's lots of things I do, in fact, in the course of the day. But there are, like Sabrina said, there are so many things. And I am not an organized type of personality. And when I get to thinking about organizing, I feel paralyzed. And I feel terror, maybe.
Don't organize it. Don't see it as a goal then.
Yeah, don't make that your goal. Make your goal just to do little steps as opposed to organizing them, and take some of the pressure off of yourself. But the end result will be, you know, getting something done. It may not be it may look like this as opposed to this, you know. But that's okay if you're ending up at the same spot. I think ultimately, Michelle, it comes down to the biggest thing is making yourself and the care of yourself a priority for you, because you know that you deserve that, and you know that that's something great for you, you know?
Yes.
And that's the bigger question of, you know, what is it you need to hear within yourself? What is the one thing you need to find in yourself that will remind you that that's true? Because I can tell you that is true, but I can't make you know that until you know it.
Yeah.
That's something you have to know on yourself. You know?
I am worthy. That is, and capable. It's a couple of I don't know.
Yeah.
A couple of old things that just keep coming back up. They disappear for a while, and I am worthy and capable, and then I kind of like loop back into my circular pattern of, hey, I haven't learned this yet, apparently, so let's do that again.
Well, I'll give you something to think of. You know, even if you learn it, those things can still come back, but they shouldn't deter you from knowing yourself. Dealing with an issue, you will deal with the issues that keep coming back better if you are at your best, if you're healthy, if you're strong, if you're clean, if your teeth are okay, if you're, you know, all those things, if your house is clean. Those are all things to empower you. All the self-care that is involved in that is probably the part that's keeping you from completely getting over whatever it is you need to get over.
Mm-hmm.
Look at it as a tool of conquering whatever it is you need to conquer. or letting go of whatever you need. The more strength you have, the more assurance you have, the better that you feel, the better that you look, the better that you take care of yourself, the stronger you are to face anything that goes on. And for you, if just getting to the dentist is a huge accomplishment, then that will give you so much power, because that is such a big thing for you to do. Or cleaning the room, or whatever it is. I mean, you went and saw your mom and mended that fence. That's a beautiful thing. That's a great strength. Use that momentum to go into the next thing. But again, it's really about honoring yourself and knowing that those are the things that will empower you. It's like you're disempowering yourself so that the things that keep coming back can still beat you.
It's exactly like that.
Yeah, so
very confusing.
Yeah.
I have to say though, I have been meditating. My meditation practice went from like pretty much daily to a lot less, and in that process, things got wonky, I suppose.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you for the topic.
You're welcome. Okay, we're going to go on to somebody else. Who else? Who wants to say what it is that they know that they should be doing that they're not doing? Because we've got about 8 minutes. Who's willing to take it on? Anybody? Sabrina, what are you doing that you should not be doing, or that you know that you should be doing that you're not doing?
Why are you picking on me?
Because you'll laugh through it.
Sabrina's turn.
Huh?
Sabrina's turn.
I'm trying to think of something, because I'm more of the, I like to hit things head on.
I like to too. I like to face stuff. I like to face it. It might take me a while, but once I really face it, I'm just all about facing it.
Yeah, I'm more about
facing
facing
it. I can't hear
it.
anything. Okay.
So there are things that I, because even when I might not be doing it, I'm facing it. Like, why am I not doing it? So that I can face it.
There's something I just say, this just came to my mind, and I will say some things are about trust. Some things are trusting that it's going to be okay, and that sometimes it's about facing the fear of the worst thing that can happen and realizing that you still come out on the other end. Now, sometimes, okay, for some people it doesn't work out like that. They, die or whatever. But a lot of times,
whatever.
Yeah, they die. But we should have that kind of idea about death, that it's like, you die.
Yeah.
But at the same time, sometimes it's about facing the fear. I had a fear, and it wasn't a fear, I don't want to get into the semantics of, did I create it because I thought it was going to happen, or did I pick it up because it was going to happen? I don't want to get into that. But I will tell you that a few years ago, in 2010, I knew that the company I was working for was at some point going to go poof. I knew it. I just knew that it was going to happen. And I started to pick it up in 2010. And I got really scared about it, because I was thinking, oh, what am I going to do? I'm not going to have a job. I'm not going to have my money. What am I going to do? Blah, blah, blah. And I spent about a year and a half just every time something happened, just, my stomach would sink into my feet, and I was like so scared about it. And finally, I got so tired of being nervous about it, I finally let it go. I was just like, well, there's nothing I can do about it. And probably within 2 months, things started to really go south in the company. That's when the crisis hit. That's when the crisis really hit in Holland. And I sell advertising, so nobody had money, so no money, no advertising, and I just watched our business go, down, down, down. But somehow we were okay for a while, and nothing really changed. And I said, well, you know what? Look, I was afraid of it, and here it's happening, but I'm still okay. So for me, that was the lesson. And then the big thing was, well, maybe the company is gonna get sold or evaporate and just be no more. And I thought, oh gosh, what am I gonna do? And oh my God, I'm gonna freak out and there's not gonna be a job. And guess what? It happened. It happened, and I knew it was gonna happen, and it happened. And then it was like I was facing it, and I had this dichotomy of, here's my worst fear coming, worst fear.
Yeah.
Take it for what I mean. Worst fear of what I believed was going to happen, what I knew it was going to happen, what I had spent years being nervous about, and then I'd let go, but then it picked it back up again because, even though nothing happened the first time, it really looked like it was going to happen this time. And it happened, but I was still here. I was still okay. And so all this stuff was happening around me, and I'm still like, but it's all okay still. And it was, for me, facing that was a big learning of just realizing that I could go through what I consider to be the worst thing that could happen, and yet I was still here. I was still okay. I was still, able to function. I all those things. And there was a real moment where I thought I could lose my house.
Yeah.
And then I thought, okay, I could lose it. So I kind of got okay with that idea, because I thought, well, okay, if I lose it, I lose it. What am I going to do? I'm going to lose it. So if I lose it, I lose it. And those kind of just giving in to the idea that it's all possible, it's all probable, it's all whatever. And, you can say, yes, but that's the timeline you want to walk on, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's all true, too. But, it's also the idea of just being willing to let whatever happens happen and still realize that you have a choice about how you're going to accept it or not accept it in the moment. You have a choice about, are you going to take action? I have found myself finding strength and abilities to do stuff that I never would have done or conceived of if I wasn't put in this situation. So, those are also things that are building blocks into finding yourself, finding your possibilities, finding what you know. Sarah was in a situation in Sweden where she had to get on a plane and she didn't have any money. And she didn't have any krona, and she had to get on a plane. And so she could have just stayed in Sweden and still been in Sweden, but she just, in the moment, she found a way to make something work. And I say sometimes that's what, she actually just manifested money right there and then and there and got on her plane. But I think sometimes we need to go through the hardest situations to realize that even in the worst of situations, it's going to be okay. I mean, you look at the people who are coming out of Syria, regardless of what you think politically about, whether they're all refugees or not, but some of them really truly are, and they're walking away with nothing. And they're walking towards their new life because they could either stay there and die, or they can move forward, and they're moving forward. And we're, fortunately, we're not in that situation right now, but any one of us could be at any given time, especially the people living here in Europe. We could be in this really serious situation at any moment. Look at the people in Paris. And it's just being willing sometimes to go through any of that and still realize you're going to be okay. And that's where you find your peace, because so much of that stuff, you can't conceive that it's going to happen. But I can also believe that the larger part of you likes adventure, the non physical part of you, and it's just like, let's see what happens when we drop her in the middle of a war zone. Let's see if she can make her way out or not. And then there's the idea of, well, maybe you die. But seriously, that's a real possibility. But that's a real possibility, though, Sarah, isn't it?
I know, but I would also find a way out.
You would, but some people's way out is to die. Some people's way out is to die.
So
Hmm?
I said I make my choices for myself.
But that could also be a valid choice. Some people may choose that.
Yeah, it's a
There's
valid.
nothing wrong with dying. That's not failing in any way. That's
No.
just
That's a valid.
deciding in the moment that is the best possible outcome for them. I'm not advocating
and that might have
dying.
been more how they planned it to begin with. So
I mean, there's the larger part of them that can say, okay, well, how is this going to impact the world? Is this going to make a big difference? Is this going to, or it may not make any difference either. It's only important for them because they want to experience the being blown up. I don't know that the conscious person walking around does, but maybe the larger part of them, the source part of them, is saying, yeah, let's get blown up. It would be kind of fun, you know? But all of it, at the end of it, is all about just realizing that you're going to be okay, no matter what's going on, no matter if you get your teeth filled or not, or whatever. It might make your experience a little more pleasant here, but
Cute.
I mean, I'm not saying you have to do anything. I'm just saying, maybe if you, but all of it is about just accepting and facing some of the hardest stuff. The biggest challenges we face are always the situations that we put ourselves in.
and
Always.
and I think though, as long as you're okay with your choice, they're all valid choices.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're okay with whatever the outcome is, then it's a valid. You're okay with it, so it's a valid choice for you.
Mm-hmm. Until it doesn't serve you anymore. And Sabrina says
Right.
all the time, and I like that she says this, until the discomfort of the situation makes you want to make it different. I would say I agree with that is the real motivator to true change, is when it gets to be so bad you just get tired of being tired, or tired of being in pain, or tired of the situation. I think we can be preemptive, and we don't have to go to the ultimate extreme of, my teeth are falling out of my mouth, now I'm going to go to the doctor. I think there's...
I want that. Can you share that?
You want your teeth to fall out of your mouth?
No, what I'm saying, I want the preemptive idea in
that comes down to valuing stuff. It's just like, for instance, if you have something that you really love, you love, I don't know, maybe you pretend this is something really valuable, but you love this mouse because it's the best mouse ever. And this isn't a mouse that you throw around. You clean it, and you really honor it, and you put it softly on the ground. That's you. That's you. You should do that to you.
I believe that is correct.
I'm not saying no, we're not talking just about you now. I'm just saying, but that's the honoring. That's the honoring of yourself and valuing. I remember one of the things that was such a great teacher for me. It was just, I remember going to school with some kids, and they were poor. I mean, believe me, we didn't have money when I was little, but we were poor, but we weren't as poor as them. But they always had nice sneakers, always nice sneakers, and their sneakers were always white, and they were always clean. And I was walking around in these shoes that were covered in mud and been stepped on, and I always thought, wow, how often do you get new sneakers? I even said that to this one kid, and he told me, he says, no, when I get home I clean them, and I polish them, and he says, I don't let any dirt get on them. I thought, wow, and I said, how many pairs? Because I was like, how many pairs of new sneakers do you have? He said he had one pair. But he took such good care of those sneakers. He really honored them. He always looked immaculate. He took such good care of himself and his appearance and his clothes. He probably didn't have a lot of clothes, but what he had was clean. And I looked like I'd just fallen out of a truck or something, because I didn't have the same awareness of what it meant to take care of stuff and to know what it meant to me and what it meant for me. And he understood that when his mother got him those sneakers, she had worked hard to get them. And he valued that, and I didn't value that. And I really learned a lot. I started to realize, he said to me, my mother, worked, for a very long time just to give me this. It's my only pair. And if I destroy it, it's gone. And I was jealous of his, not jealous of the sneakers, I was jealous of his understanding of what he had, because I didn't have that awareness. I started to from that moment, but I didn't have it until I saw somebody else do it. And this was a person who had not very much at all. So we can value ourselves and we can value our stuff. I would say if you're not around people who value themselves and they're not good examples for you, like Rainbow was saying, maybe I need to be around people who, have a different attitude, then maybe that's the step that you need to take in order to, that can be the first step of changing some of your environmental stuff, your environmental influences, the people that are around you. If the people around you are not honoring themselves, it's very hard for you to stop, to start realizing you need to do it too, because then you're just one of the crowd. And you can always look at them and go, well, I do it a little more than them. But that, they always teach you in motivational stuff is to be around the people who are doing the stuff that you want to do, who are winning, at what they're doing, and to mimic them. It's a hard thing to break away from the same old, but if you're not satisfied with what's going on, or you say things that need to change, then maybe the first thing to change is the things you can. So. Any last comments, because we're coming to the end? We're a little bit over time. So does anyone want to say anything? Because I think we've reached a good point to stop.
Other than thank you, because this has been very helpful.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes, I love you all. Thank you for being here.
Oh, I love you too. We love you too, Johannes.
Yeah, thanks, Karen, for all your help. We really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you too.
Fantastic topic today, Karen.
Good. So you want to know what the next week's topic is going to be?
What?
Oh, no. It's going to be, what is the next week's topic? This one was self-awareness. And next week, I don't think it's going to be next week, because next week is Thanksgiving. I don't know how many people are doing Thanksgiving. I won't be doing it because I'm in Holland. But I think you all will be eating, maybe, hopefully not turkey, but Thanksgiving-ish stuff.
Tofurkey.
Thank you. I think you're hoping you're having a merry tofurkey Thanksgiving. The next subject is going to be happiness and peace of mind.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So we'll be asking some of the tough questions that go along with that. Happiness and peace of mind.
And you know what's funny? When you were asking me, okay, so because I'm a doer. I'm actually sitting on something at the moment.
Physically or emotionally?
Well, physically and emotionally. I'm sitting on it physically so that emotionally we'll get comfortable with the idea of trusting the universe. That's a big thing. So, yeah. So I'm actually holding myself back to teach myself something.
Yeah. There's trust is the belief something's going to happen. There's a belief. The one thing that I can say is that sometimes the manifestation of it is not now. And it may not be in our lifetime, and that's the hardest thing. If we look at some of the big works that we do and some of this stuff, we always want the evidence that it's working right now. But that's not always the case. So trust is important, but it's more the commitment to the doing that needs to be stronger. You're doing it because, no, I'm just saying in the big picture.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's the belief that what you're doing matters, so you do it with the belief that it matters without the need to see the outcome be there. It's like building the wall of China. I always think about the first guy who put down the brick or the stone. He never saw the wall be built. And he knew he would never see it. And the next, say, 10 people that came after him, that wall took 1,000 years. So, you know, the next 8 or 9 people never got to see it in its final stage. But each part of their contribution is so important, or else there would have never been a wall. So one, if the first guy never laid the brick because he knew he would never see the outcome, we still wouldn't have the wall. So do whatever you do because you believe in what you're doing, and do it without the idea that you're going to see the end of it. You may, if you're very fortunate and lucky and all that stuff, but you may not. But it doesn't diminish the importance of the work.
But there are things that are long-term goals. And there are things that are
there's long-term, and I'm talking about the long-term goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, like changing the world.
I'd just like to add, like, this topic is very synchronistic with what I've been feeling in this week, and it's about continuity, carrying on, and just going for it, never giving up, just keep on going for it.
Yeah. I had the realization once I was walking the dogs, and it's a great moment to think because they're just doing their thing and you're just walking along. You're not really thinking about anything, but because we're all, you know, we're trying to change the world. We're trying to make the world better. We're seeing so many changes, you know, but there's so much more to come. And I just had the realization that, you know, we may not see the outcome in the fullest sense in our lifetime, but we still have to keep going. We still have to do it with the same commitment as if the payoff is tomorrow.
I will see it in the next one.
Yeah, you will. You'll see it in this time. But I'm just saying, like, it's just a matter of, sometimes people think, well, why, you know, there was always the argument that when I was younger, people would go, I don't want to bring kids into the world because it's too terrible or something like that. And, you know, we're building the world for tomorrow, not so much for today. We're building it for tomorrow. And we still need to go for it.
And not forgetting to enjoy in the moment.
Well, the enjoyment is the commitment to doing it, you know.
Right, the process.
But, you know, like I tell my kids, you know, I want my grandchildren to see a different world.
Yeah.
To see a better world. What, you know, even if it's 20, 30, 50, whatever percentage, I want them to see a better, different world.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but that's the far-flung future, and still, who are you doing it for? Them or for yourself?
Well, part of doing something for someone else is also doing it for yourself, but it's you know, you're.
But you don't feel like it has to be a sacrifice. That's the biggest thing.
I think sacrifice. There's nothing wrong with sacrifice. I don't think sacrifice is a bad thing. I think sacrifice can be very honorable. You know, if you want to be a great athlete, then you sacrifice maybe social life in order to train hard.
Girls.
Or, you know, but there's nothing wrong with sacrifice. I think that's a misconception that is going on in the world. Of people don't think that they should have to put in anything or give anything or give up anything. Sometimes giving up something is really important.
Right.
I feel like if someone asks me for help, I can give 100%, and I won't even think about anything. But then afterwards, when I want to do something, I'm just like, I just won't even do it. It's weird. I don't know.
Well, maybe you need to find someone like you and ask them to do the stuff you need.
You know why? Because you think you have all the time. That friend only has that time. That's, you know, but you figure you have all the time. Plus, it's broken down for you. So the friend might say, can you do this for me? And it's just that one task.
So true.
Yeah, like if they say like, "Can you help me clean my house?" I'll be like, "Sweet, over there." Within like seconds, bang, doing it, laughing, da-da-da. And then I come home and my place is a mess. I'm like, tomorrow. So, but yeah, I'm gonna take all of you said, and I'm gonna find a nice location for a retreat, and I'm gonna clean this room up, and just do small incremental steps, and just keep the momentum going.
Cool.
There you go. See, now I'm doing some of my house, but I already started.
So, so what you guys are saying, if I'm hearing you right, is that you got to take some type of action. We just can't sit there and dream of it. It's going to be done for us.
Yeah, action.
Compassionate action.
The
In the
A
right
word.
vibration.
The A word. Yeah.
Action's important. It's like working out. If you're gonna work out, I can sit there with that machine behind me all day long, and it's not gonna make me any fitter if I just look at it and think,
Just think of
I'm getting fitter, I'm getting fitter, I'm getting fitter. I gotta get on that thing and.
Ryan, the dreaming of it is the first part, because without the dreaming, the action. Well,
That's right.
But you can dream. You can also waste time dreaming.
that's
Yeah.
okay. It's time is never wasted in dreaming. However, time is wasted if action does not occur at some point.
Well, okay, yes and no. I mean, you can dream about being a great ballerina, but if you're 95, the chances that that's going to happen, if you spend your whole life, you could have spent more of your life doing it and actually doing it than waiting till you're 95 and realizing that your body just isn't going to do that pas de bourrée the way that you could have done when you were 20.
I agree with you, Sarah. It does take some type
Ballerina
of
and
a
only
dream.
have your living room and just begin to move your body, and your body begins moving because you're dreaming about the steps you do as a ballerina.
But you still take an action eventually.
Well, I've never seen a prima ballerina that's 95, but maybe you'll be the first one.
Well, Sarah can dance.
Yeah, I know.
Love you, Sarah.
Love you all. This was a wonderful show.
This was great, Karen. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to go off air, so namaste, everybody. We love you, and we will see you next time.